Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is a part of a hop with the Lawn Fawn fans, which is a group of crafters just like me who have YouTube channels, and we are hopping along sharing our summer creations featuring products from Lawn Fawn. I'm also going to be fingerprinting on the gel press to make my card today. We are being sponsored by the Not Too Shabby Shop and the Crescent Creation Shop. Both are giving away $25 shopping sprees to their sites. All you have to do is leave comments and hop along with us. All the details are below. Now let's get into making today's card. I'm going to be using the brand new Treehouse die set. This is, oh my word, the cutest die. I am so excited to have it. Here is my 5x7 gel press. This is what I'm going to be finger painting on. So I'm just going to add some acrylic paint, and I'm going to use two different colors for my sky. So kind of like a light teal color and a darker teal color. I'm going to swirl those around in a circular motion. This is going to be my sky. Now, in doing this, I'm going to actually make like 3 prints. Well, kind of. You'll see. So I'm just swirling this around to cover the entire plate because I'm going to be making a 5x7 card today. So I have half sheets of lightweight cardstock here that I'm taking my prints on, and you can see this has a lot of texture in it because I had a lot of paint. So I'm going to swirl what's left on here that's still kind of wet, but some of it is dry. So I'm going to bring in some white acrylic paint and my brayer to help me pick up that paint that I fingerprinted. And I'm rolling my brayer on my scratch paper, and that made a really cool print as well. Once that white paint has set and dried, probably about 5 minutes later, I'm going to peel this paper off. Now, because that paint is dry, it is like so hard to remove the paper. You really have to use your muscle, and that was the print I was pretty sure I was going to use on my card. We'll get to that. Next, I wanted to make a background that I could die cut the tops of my tree from. So I used 2 different colors of green, and then I wasn't sure how I wanted to do this one, but I decided to tap out the paint and make lots of little dots that overlap. And you know, I started with 1 finger, and then I got braver, like embraced the inner kindergartner in me and used 3 fingers, and it was kind of fun. So just keep some baby wipes on hand for this, or a wet cloth. So I picked up that print, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Spread out some white paint to pick up what's left over. And I also have this print made with the brayer, which is gorgeous. But overall, my favorite prints are always the ones where I pick up the leftover paint using white paint. That's the brayer paper there, and here's my print picking up what was dried on the plate with white paint to re-moisten that. Now you're going to see here my paper like rips, and some of it stays on the gel press. So this happens when you have one spot of wet paint and the rest of the paint around it has dried. So there was a concentrated spot right there of paint, but that's not going to matter because I'm going to use this for die cutting. So, and you can always strategically place something over that too if that happens to you. Okay, so the paints I was using at the beginning are really heavy body, thick paints with a matte finish. These paints are like the kind you can buy at Walmart. They're really cheap paint. They're very liquidy. They're somewhat shiny. So I just put rows of it, of the 3 different colors, and then I'm just dragging them with my fingers, kind of like stripes or streaks of paint. And this is going to be for my tree. Now I got a ton of paint on there, so I'm not going to use that first print, but there was enough paint and it was still wet enough I could take a second print right away. And then you can see the results right here. So I'm saving those, but this right here is the money print. I'm going to brayer on that white paint over the top because now that paint has started to dry. But because I'm getting color on my brayer, it's not 100% dry, so it's still going to maybe blend a little bit with the white. But there's the brayer paper, something cool I can use. I don't have to waste that paint that was on my brayer. And you can see here, I am really pulling this off. And oh my goodness, this print is my favorite. It kind of looks like leather when you look at it really close. It was really cool. So here's the prints I'm going to use for my card today. All of them are the ones I used where I picked up the wet paint with the dry paint with the white paint. So that was my background. I cut it to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then it's ready to go on my card. Then I die cut my tree trunk part, the base of the tree, from that suede or leather looking cardstock. And here's the green print, and you can see I can move my die around and kind of pick out the part that I want the most for my treetops. So for this particular tree, you can cut out as many of these pieces as you want. I'm going to do 2 of the large pieces and 3 of the small pieces. And I'm just showing you kind of a close-up of that so you can see the texture on that. And now I kind of laid everything out, and this was where I was like, I'm not sure about that background. The treetops don't stand out very much. So I got my little finger dauber brushes out, and I'm going to brush some color on the edges. I'm using Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink for all of the treetop pieces, all of them, and just giving a light dusting all the way around. And because I have the finger dauber brush, it's easier for me to control how much color gets on that edge. And then I use Vintage Photo for, I think, no, it's walnut stain for the edge of my tree. Now I still had some of that green print left over, so I decided to use my Slimline Curvy Hill grass border. And when I laid that up against the paper that I had left over from cleaning off my brayer, I knew that was the background I needed to use for today's card. So now I'm going back to my tree house die set and die cutting the frame for the door and the window from some dark brown cardstock. Now I totally forgot the doorknob, and as I was editing this video I was like, oh my word, there should be a doorknob on the door, and there's a die for that. So, you know, put a doorknob on yours if you like that kind of thing. Now I had an extra piece of that brown cardstock that I die cut the tree from, and I just cut a little scrap that I could put behind the door, so when the door opens it still looks like a tree on the inside. I did another little scrap of vellum that I kind of rounded the top just with my scissors to go behind the window on the door. So they both have vellum, and it kind of gives them a little, you know, finished off look. So here is my grass, and I did do a dusting of that Rustic Wilderness ink around the sides and the bottom of the grass, just darken it up ever so slightly. And now I can glue down my tree right there in the grass, and then the treetops, the larger pieces are going on with foam squares, and I kind of overlap them, so that's why this one has a little glue on the end and then foam squares. And the little pieces are going to overlap the larger pieces, so I don't need foam squares for those. I'm going to actually just glue them right in place. And you can see how it makes the tree look fuller or taller just by rearranging and adding more pieces. So play with it and make it your own. All right, here's the stamp sets I'm using today. This is the Berry Special stamp set. I'm also using the Dandy Day stamp set for that little mouse. And then I'm going to use Bug Deal, one of my favorite Lawn Fawn sets, for the cupcake and the little caterpillar and the worm. So here are all the pieces I stamped with black ink on white cardstock, and I'm going to do some Copic coloring. So I'm using warm grays for my mouse. I just covered the whole thing with W0, and then I'm bringing in W4 to add a dark shadow, blending that out with W2, and then I'll come back in and soften those lines with my W0, and that is my little mouse. I colored all the mice the same way. Touches of R20 for the cheek, the ear, and the nose, and this little guy in the overalls, oh my word, he steals my heart. I love the overalls. So I'm kind of using a turquoise or teal color for his overalls, so it kind of matches my background a little bit. And now for the strawberries, I used R29, R17, and R08. All the strawberries colored the same. The greenery is YG09 and YG06. So some nice bright colors. Here you can see all the markers I used to color in my images, and here's a close-up look at how they look all colored. I think they're adorable, but I do love a white highlight. So I brought out my white gel pen, and I'm giving each image a little bit of a highlight, so dots and lines that really looks like the sun has hit it, and it just brings them to life. I love that look, but it's personal preference. Now it's time to die cut out all the things, and there they are. Why do they look so much cuter when they're die cut? I don't know, but I love it. It makes me happy. Okay, I have this graham cracker alphabet from Trinity Stamps that's going to make up part of my saying. Now I used the Reveal Wheel Sentiment stamp set for this stamp right here that says hope your day is, and then I'm going to add in this stamp from the Berry Special set that says berry, like it's like you inserted the word berry. And so my full sentiment is going to say, hope your day is berry squeak instead of sweet. I like to be punny. Tell me what you think of this sentiment. Does it work? When you say it, does it make you think of sweet when you read the word squeak? I hope so. All right, so I die cut these letters from some red cardstock off screen, which I thought was on screen. I have a little piece of, there you can see it, of like backing from foam squares, and I put glue on it and I just dip the letters in and stick them down. All right, let's do a little stamping on there again for the little trail that goes behind the bee. Now I taped my paper down because it was a little warped from having been gel press printed on, paint on it. And now you can see I just adhered all the things with glue except the mouse holding all the strawberries. I popped that up. Now for my worm and my little caterpillar, I wanted them to be a little bit more hidden. So I die cut these grass pieces from the treehouse set and I kind of camouflage them just a little bit. Also, I am going to add some flowers to the tree, like it just needed something, and there is a flower die in this set that die cuts a solid flower and a flower with a hole in the center. So first I'm going to lay down the solid flowers that I die cut from yellow cardstock, and I am going to do 5 flowers total. Once those are glued in place, then I'll do the top piece that has the hole in it, and all of those are going to be white. So they're kind of like strawberry flowers, but they're on the tree, but you know, it kind of makes you think of strawberries, so I felt like it was a good fit for this card. Next, I really wanted to add a little birdhouse, and I thought maybe a pink birdhouse would be fun, because if you live in a tree house, maybe you don't want your birdhouse to be wood colored, right? You probably want something bright. That's my thinking anyway. So I glued the red back on it, and then I die cut a third birdhouse piece from the same paper I did the treehouse from, but cut off the roof. So I really gave it, you know, some more dimension. And then I added a little bit of shadowing to it and some white lines with my gel pen. Now you just saw me stick a little roly-poly bug in there. I had that in with my stamp set that I didn't use on a previous project, and I tucked him in the grass there. And then I glued this down to my 5x7 card, so it's 10-inch piece of paper by 7 inches scored at 5 inches. I also put a liner on the inside so I could put this sentiment. So this is the paper I was originally going to use for my sky background. It was a little too dark, but it is perfect for my happy birthday to you that I'm going to put on the inside. It's very eye-catching with gel press paper and instead of just plain paper. All right, these strawberry clay bits are from Trinity Stamps, and I thought it'd be fun. Sprinkle them in there, put the card in the envelope, and then when the recipient gets the card, they open it. Oh my word, how cute. All this confetti falls out on them. Now, my sister used to do this all the time when she would send me cards, and so I thought it'd be really fun for this card. So that is my contribution to the Lawn Fawn Fans Hop. Now, the rest of the designers are fabulous. You're going to love their creations, and the next stop is linked for you below, and the person is Neha, and she's the owner of the Crescent Creations shop. So be sure to check out her video, hop along with us, and leave comments as you go. I thank you so much for stopping by. I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!